those of you who are long-time subscribers of mine will know that one of the things I focus on this channel is the psychology of fighters. And if we're talking about historical figures in the world of boxing, specifically trainers, this man right here, Kostas, is one of the experts, or was one of the experts. He's dead now, obviously. But he was one of the experts when it comes to the psychology of fighters. And in this particular video here, this interview that he does with a young Mike Tyson for a documentary, I think, and also this video, he goes into some great depth about the psychology of fighters, about his approach and how he deals with fighters and how he helps to build their confidence up and how he gets them into the right mental state to be able to perform to the best of their ability and to be able to overcome very difficult challenges. And he says one of the first things that he does with a fighter is he'll give them a lecture. So before he teaches them anything technical, before he teaches them how to throw a jab or a left hook or anything, he'll give them a lecture. And in this lecture, he says he doesn't expect them to remember everything in the lecture. But the purpose of delivering this lecture is that when the fighters then go ahead and have their first fights and what have you, when they get into certain situations, all of a sudden they'll have flashbacks to what D'Amato told them in the lecture. And they'll think, oh, okay, Kos said I would feel like this. He said this would happen. And so that's when his words really sink in. It's when they're actually going through stuff, that's when they have flashbacks to what D'Amato told them. So that's one of the techniques that he uses. And the lecture, he says, is his the first thing that he does. D'Amato goes as far as saying that no less than 60% of boxing is mental. And he also talks about the fact that boxing is a performance. This is what a lot of people don't realize. You get some people in the gym who are incredible fighters. Gym fighters, they call them. Incredible. They're beating up world champions. They're knocking people out left, right, and center behind closed doors. But put them in a ring, in a professional fight, under the big lights, with thousands of people in the arena, millions of people watching worldwide, their family, their friends, all that kind of stuff, the big media press conferences and the tour, put them in that situation, and all of a sudden they choke up and they can't produce in the professional fight under the bright lights. They can't produce the same form under those conditions that they can produce behind closed doors in the gym. You see, this is why I'm not so quick to dismiss stories of top world champions getting knocked out by fringe contenders or journeymen or what have you in the gym. This is why I'm not so quick to dismiss it, because I understand that what Kostas is talking about in these particular videos is real. You get guys who are incredible in the gym, but put them in under the big lights and they can't produce because it's a performance. The way I would explain it is like, you might know somebody who's a really good singer and they sing great in their church choir or they sing great in front of their friends and family, but put them up on a big stage in front of thousands of people and all of a sudden they're choking up. All of a sudden their voice is cracking. All of a sudden they can't hit the notes in front of all those people on a big stage that they can hit when they're singing for their friends. They can't deliver the performance under pressure. And see, this is what you have with boxing. But boxing is even more extreme than that, because in boxing, you're under far more pressure than you are singing, because you don't have all the time in the world in boxing to sort your nerves out, because you've got a guy coming at you, throwing serious punches at you, trying to take your head off. So on a stage, if you're singing, you can take a deep breath. Okay, let me try to compose myself. Let me try to sing this song again In a boxing ring, you don't get no second chances. Round one goes, you better deal with your nerves now, because this guy's coming to take your head off now. You understand? So, yeah, D'Amato goes into the psychology of fighters, the different techniques he uses to try and get fighters in the right mental, to get fighters in the right mind frame to deliver their best performances. So, yeah, he, as I say, says no less than 60% of boxing is mental. It's a mental battle as much as it is a physical battle, maybe even more so. And many trainers have said this over the years, that it's more mental than it is physical. Mike Tyson, interestingly, says it's a spiritual battle. If you don't have the spiritual warrior within you in a boxing ring, you'll never be anything. So he diverts from using the term mental. He uses the term spiritual. And I don't think people should dismiss that, to be honest with you, whether you're religious or not. I think there is something to that. It's the energy that you have within you, the particular vibe that you have within you, which makes you a fighter. And some people have it, some people don't. Some people, you can teach them all the skills in the world. They could have the physicality, they could have the power, they could have everything, but they don't have the spirit. They don't have the drive. They don't have the desire, you know? And I guess that's what Mike Tyson's talking about. It's a spiritual thing. So yeah, if you're interested in the psychology of fighters, I do recommend these two interviews. Those of you who are big time Mike Tyson fans, you will have already seen these interviews anyway, probably 1,000 times over, as I have myself. But for those who haven't, who are not too familiar with Kostas and the things that he taught and the things that he said in his approach to boxing from a psychological point of view, I recommend these videos. And Kostas is a very interesting character to me, always was, because he's a very cerebral man, very, very intelligent man. And he had a unique boxing style that he taught. His boxing style was based on certain old school fighters. There's one guy who I can't remember the name of right now. He was a black guy, a light-skinned black guy, who was maybe a welterweight. I can't for the life of me remember his name. But if you ever watched, I'll maybe put a comment in the comment section below and pin it to the top so you guys can see it. But if you ever see this guy fight, you'll straight away recognize the style, because he is the person who Kostas based his boxing technique on. You see? So, and this, again, this is before Kostas had his style that he taught to Floyd Patterson and Mike Tyson and Jose Torres. Prior to that, he was inspired by this particular boxer, who I think was a welterweight. But anyway, from a psychological point of view, you won't hear many people who are more informed and more intelligent on when it comes to the psychological aspect of boxing. Very, very interesting man to listen to, Kostas, if you guys haven't. And it will bring home to you how important psychology is in boxing. Some people dismiss it. Oh, that psychology stuff don't matter in boxing. No, it's vitally important in boxing. And D'Amato also talks about stripping away the layers of a fighter's personality. See, D'Amato always said that he doesn't like to work with fighters who are already professionals. You know, he likes to take fighters from when they're young boys who have no experience at all. Because he says when you're dealing with a fighter who has experience, who's already a, top professional, you have to strip away a lot more layers. You have to get them to unlearn what they've already learned. You see, but when he's got a young boy like a Mike Tyson, a Floyd Patterson, you're dealing with a blank canvas. Okay, so you're not stripping away layers of boxing technique or boxing knowledge or, what have you, boxing patterns. You're not doing that. What you still do have to do, though, with a young fighter who has no experience is strip away the layers of their personality to get to the core person inside. That's a process that D'Amato said he had to go through. And once he understood the fighter from a psychological point of view, he then understood what the fighter needed, what he needed to give the fighter. With Mike Tyson, he realized that he was actually lacking in confidence, Mike Tyson, and he had low self-esteem. So what D'Amato would constantly do with a young Tyson from when Tyson was 13 years old is D'Amato would heap an enormous amount of praise on Tyson day in, day out in the gym. You're incredible. You're this, you're that. You're going to be the world champion. You're going to knock out Larry Holmes. And he would say all these kind of things to Tyson because he's building up his confidence. He understood Tyson needed more of that than the average fighter. You know, some fighters are innately confident. Like a Muhammad Ali was confident to the point where he was almost conceited. All right, a young Ali was an incredibly naturally confident character. Mike Tyson wasn't like that. Mike Tyson needed, you know, a lot more encouragement than that. So that's what Kostas gave him. You know, Mike Tyson was a relatively quiet young man, certainly around Kostas. He was relatively quiet, certainly in the early days, from my understanding. Whereas Muhammad Ali was a braggadocious character from day one. From the first day he ever stepped in a boxing gym, he was a loudmouth, you know, popping off at the mouth. But definitely the most charismatic, for me, the most charismatic fighter ever was Muhammad Ali. Certainly the most charismatic heavyweight ever. Hilarious, very funny and engaging character, Muhammad Ali. But a very different personality to a Mike Tyson, you know. So Kostas talked about understanding the fighter psychologically and therefore knowing what you have to do to compensate for their weaknesses psychologically, you know. So anyway, yeah, highly recommended videos. You guys should go watch them if you're interested in boxing psychology. All right. Let me know how you feel in the comments, people. It's happening. I'm out.